Good evening. I hope you have had a wonderful day as we draw towards the end of this week, the 27th day of June. Today I want to talk briefly on the radical nature of the Christian message, the shift in paradigm brought about by Jesus Christ. First, Jesus tells us very clearly that if you have to be his disciple, you have to pick up your cross, deny yourself, and follow him. The cost of discipleship is not that easy. It's not easy. You have to deny yourself. Elsewhere he says, unless a grain of wheat falls into the ground, it remains alone. It does not produce anything. It must fall into the ground, die first before life can sprout out of it. To bear fruits, you'll have to die of yourself. Certainly he's talking about humility. And himself is the example, the role model of humility. He was God in the form of God. Took a human nature. Was born like a human being, you and me, but was divine. He was denounced, denied, suffered, betrayed and suffered, died, and died the most shameful death of all times, crucifixion on the cross. Remember, to be crucified among the Jews, it implies that you were the worst. Even the Romans couldn't allow their citizens to be crucified. It was the most shameful death of all death. But him who was God died that kind, abandoned at the crossroads. And Christ says, unless a grain of wheat falls into the ground, it remains alone. When we look at this radical nature of Christian message, my mind again rushes to what we read in Luke chapter 15. There's something very radical in that part of the scripture. It begins by pointing out a scenario whereby tax collectors and sinners were drawing to Jesus Christ to listen to him on one side. And on the other hand, we have the scribes and the Pharisees who are complaining, which kind of person is this that allows tax collectors and sinners to eat with him? If this man were a prophet, surely he would not have allowed this. And then Jesus proceeds to give there the first parable of a man who has 100 sheep, loses one, abandons the 99, goes to look for this one that is lost. And that is something that I just want us to reflect on. And today we were celebrating the most sacred heart of Jesus, which simply means celebrating the love of God. And look at how radical that is. To see it, maybe look at it this way. A shepherd is in some wilderness, not a very safe place. He has 100 sheep, and then one gets lost. He goes out of his way to look for this one that is lost, that is abandoned, that is wounded, that is sick, that cannot be traced anywhere, that is marginalized. I don't know how you look at it, but perhaps somebody would have thought he would have taken the 99 to some safe place first. When they are locked up somewhere because of the dangers within the wilderness, and then goes to look for one. But that is not the logic. He simply goes after the one that is lost first, the marginalized. As you continue reading, there will of course be the stories of the lost coin and so forth. There will be also this story of the prodigal son and the father. Again, the graciousness of God is seen there, the mercy of God, and very radical. Maybe in our thinking, our worldly thinking, it will be easier for the son, and we will expect that the son apologizes. But the logic of God is different, and that's how radical God is and what Christ has taught us. It is the Father who first forgives, not the Son asking for forgiveness. The Son is on his way, but even before he gets on his way, it is the Father who recognizes him first. That image of the Father in all of us is never and will never be forgotten. That's why, as Christians, life is something very sacred, because even in that worst image of what your imagination or my imagination is of another person, that is still the face of God. That in God, everybody is welcome, and he goes after each and every individual, knows every person at that individual and personal level. So why am I saying that this is something very radical? And I wish maybe now we contemporize that message and try to interpret it from our own context. Look at it this way, that you are a father. Your son has really done something extremely bad. He has stolen more than a half of what you have and just squandered it. And when he comes, you make a party for him. Very many of us human beings will see that as encouraging that son to continue being bad. When God goes out of his way to look for us, God is not encouraging us to continue to persist in doing what is wrong. But that's how the love of God is, that he comes after us as a good shepherd, as the one who does not want any one of us to go astray. And there will be joy when we come back. As I was thinking about this reading and the radical nature of the Christian message and what Jesus Christ teaches us, and many of us go around saying we're Christians, saying, do we realize that it is the Father who forgives first? Even the very thinking of us in ourselves to say we are sorry is an initiative of God. It's God who initiates the journey of forgiveness. That's why forgiveness is not human, and forgiveness is very radical. It comes from God. It's the grace of God to tell somebody, I have forgiven you, and to sincerely forgive. To even say, I'm sorry, is the grace of God. It comes from God. And it's the one above who forgives first. It's the Father who forgives first. Take that message to our society. I have seen so many challenges. I want just to ask, wherever we are, those people who are in leadership, wherever, the fathers of this nation, suppose you forgave that particular person and just call him saying, I've forgiven you. Do you think of what that effect of what that will be? That when you pray to God and God gives you the courage to stand out there and say, I am sorry. And sincerely, with a contrite heart, say, I'm sorry. That is going to have a powerful impact. In fact, to resolve some of the issues that are going on here in this country, in Kenya, this acrimony, this political acrimony, what we need to do is first of all to seek reconciliation. And I'm daring those who are in authority. In fact, it should begin with the president first. Come to those cabinet secretaries, everybody, all the way in the house setup. It is the father who should first of all tell the son, I have forgiven you. If you are a parent, forgive your children and tell them, I have forgiven you. And make a celebration to welcome them back home. Let them realize where they went astray and tell them, I've forgiven you. You are my son, you are my daughter. And make a celebration for them. If we find barriers in our minds and in our hearts to accept that message in that manner, then we are yet to understand why God had to die on the cross. It is God who forgave us first, before we even went to say we are sorry. That's what the death of Christ on the cross means. And anyone who is a Christian and who wants peace, true peace, in our society, in our homes, in our families, must be the first one to say, I have forgiven you. God bless you. God bless Kenya.